This is 7 News, the voice of regional WA.
Tonight, the government's new plan to house our state's most dangerous young offenders. A family's plea to find their son who's been missing for months. A way to immerse yourself in the wonders of Western Australia.
And will that sunshine stick around? I'll have the forecast for your place.
7 News begins now.
Hello and welcome to 7 News. The state government has pledged to build a new maximum security facility for WA's most difficult young offenders. It'll be built next door to the existing Banksia Hill Detention Centre. It'll replace the controversial youth unit at Casuarina, which has been marred by ongoing issues ever since it opened.
The new youth detention centre will be built next to Banksia Hill. It'll house the most violent teenage offenders. But it's at least 2 years away. First, a business case. The Premier today announcing $1 million to fund planning. The build will cost more than $100 million.
The new facility will be specifically designed to meet high security and therapeutic needs of detainees who are complex, challenging and often dangerous.
Violent young offenders are currently housed at the notorious Unit 18 inside the adult Casuarina prison. The first juvenile prisoners were sent there in July last year after ongoing disturbances at Banksia Hill. But the government is under public pressure to close the unit after 16-year-old Cleveland Dodd took his life there last month.
Young people entering the justice system often face struggles with substance abuse, behavioural problems and other issues. Because of this, the second facility will also operate as a transitional centre for high-needs juveniles on remand.
The opposition questioning the timing of the announcement.
Today's announcement is, quite frankly, comical. There is absolutely no detail whatsoever what's going to happen to Unit 18. There is nothing with regard, we've got $1 million for a planning process or something.
The government insists this policy was already underway before the teenager's death. More in 7 News at 6.
A woman has been killed after her car collided head-on with a convoy of trucks on the edge of the wheat belt. It happened on the Great Eastern Highway just before 7 last night.
This is all that's left of the Hyundai Elantra. Twisted metal, both right-hand side doors crushed, the front of the car almost unrecognisable, a head-on collision with one of the trucks. The 49-year-old driver was heading east on the Great Eastern Highway just before 7 last night. Police believe she veered off the road and into the westbound lane. She crashed into a truck that was part of a convoy heading west. The woman sustained fatal injuries, a confronting scene for first responders. The truck driver was uninjured. Police are now calling for witnesses as they try to figure out exactly what happened. The woman is one of 143 people who've been killed on WA roads so far this year. Pip Waller, 7 News.
Albany Police will launch a fresh search for a 38-year-old man who went missing in the area 6 months ago. Tremaine Reed's family say he was in high spirits when he disappeared.
A devastated mother determined to find her son.
There's not a day that goes by that we don't think about him.
6 months ago, Tremaine Reed was visiting family in Albany. On the afternoon of June 12, he was in this area between the Hanrahan and Serpentine roads. The 38-year-old hasn't been seen or heard from since.
Family and friends are really worried, and it's unusual behaviour for him to be gone this long without contact.
He disappeared carrying only his wallet. He was last seen wearing a black baseball cap, red sneakers, a hoodie and track pants.
He's a good man, a good father, a beautiful brother and a lovely son.
Albany Police will launch a fresh search of nearby bushland next week.
There's been no financial institution access, there's been no social media, no communication, no telephones and no personal contact with any family, friends or associates since this time.
Tremaine is about 170 centimetres tall with a medium build, brown hair and a beard. He was living in Perth at the time but has family across the state, including Kalgoorlie.
Get in touch with the family, get in touch with your friends. We need to know that you're okay.
Anyone with information is urged to contact police. Jenny Shon, 7 News.
Survivors of child abuse say there's some light at the end of a very dark tunnel. It comes after a report recommending sweeping changes to fast-track compensation. As Jessica Page reports, some victims and perpetrators have died before justice could be served.
Years after a royal commission revealed the horrific extent of child abuse, a new inquiry has today confirmed survivors in WA are still being let down by institutions meant to help and protect them, and by a court process and laws that are lagging the rest of the country, resulting in civil claims taking too long and causing more pain.
There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, which is what they've lived in darkness up till now.
A dozen victims and advocates were in state parliament today where MPs broke down, recalling their stories.
The trauma that survivors have experienced leaves lifelong physical and mental scars that severely impact them and their families. It is only by survivors and advocacy groups having the courage and tenacity to continue to speak out that we can understand these impacts and seek further improvements.
The report has recommended a separate court list to fast-track trial dates, the removal of limitations on the scope of personal injury claims, and legislation to reverse the onus of proof so it is presumed organisations have breached their duty of care. Also for claims to continue beyond death, so there's no perverse incentive for defendants to drag their heels.
These legal proceedings should do no harm. As it stands now, they are particularly harmful and traumatic for survivors.
The inquiry's not over, and the politicians are still considering whether to recall Catholic Church leaders after 7 News revealed details of the Vatican's own report into alleged grooming and abuse in Broome at the hands of former Bishop Christopher Saunders.
Police in Albany are investigating a series of rock-throwing attacks. Last night, a number of drivers were targeted in the South Coast city. One of those drivers, a 17-year-old, on her P-plates. It comes less than a week after teens were caught throwing eggs at passing cars in Spencer Park.
Shane has only been behind the wheel for a month, and already she's had a fright after a rock was thrown at her windshield.
And a lady was stumbling on the floor, and then we've seen her. We didn't see her pick up a rock, but we've seen the rocks in her hand, and she's just thrown them straight at the car. One hit the bonnet and then flown up to the windscreen, like landed in front of my face, and then it flew off.
Last night, Shane and her friend were driving on Lower King Road near Oyster Harbour. They saw a group of young people walking on the verge, then one of them threw a rock the size of an orange.
Well, I shut my eyes immediately because I kind of flinched thinking it was going to hit the car, and then was just a bit nervous after that. We didn't want to turn around and go back to her because she looked really mad and we didn't want the rock thrown back at the other side of the car.
Although for most the damage was minimal, Shane's mother says she arrived home shaken up.
You don't really get taught what to do in that situation apart from get help. I didn't want to swerve or anything because that probably would have caused more damage, but kind of just be safe on the road. You can't really stop things like that from happening, just be aware really.
Just last week, 2 18-year-olds were throwing eggs at cars. One was assaulted by the passengers of one of the cars. Police are urging drivers to stay alert. Grace Armstrong, 7 News.
West Australians and visitors to Perth are being given the chance to submerge themselves in the landscapes of our country. A 360-degree experience features never-before-seen video from our Kimberley and Southwest regions. An award-winning poet from Geraldton plays a special part in the exhibition.
This multi-sensory experience provides some breathtaking views of WA and the rest of the country. It represents more than 100,000 hours in the field by 25 Australian geographic cinematographers.
Quite staggering how anybody would take that much material and then be able to edit it down to what you see here.
It celebrates the diversity of places and animals, some of which haven't been seen before, backed by the sounds of nature. Tourism Australia helps support Australian Geographic's efforts to tour the exhibition. It hopes to inspire more visitors to wander out yonder.
WA, as you know, contains perhaps the last wild frontier in Australia, which is the Kimberley region.
Technology plays a vital role. During the nearly hour-long experience, you walk through more than 40 ultra-high-definition screens that help create a 360 surround soundscape.
Be lost. I think be lost in the moment.
Born and raised Geraldton poet Nola Gregory also plays a role. As an award-winning writer, one of her poems is etched into the beginning of each session.
I actually shed a few tears because I'm a person that loves Mother Earth, and seeing this beautiful photography, it just really got to me.
Her passion for poetry was sparked by her mother, who also grew up in the Geraldton area.
A lot of beautiful country out that way, practically surrounded by the seas.
The experience opens tomorrow at Perth's Convention Centre and will run until February. Josh van Staden, 7 News.
Let's have a look at what the last day of spring had for us. Here's Amanda Sabatino with today's weather.
That's right, Noel. Summer is on its way. On the synoptic chart, there's a broad trough extending from the western Pilbara to a low over the interior. Meantime, there's a weak ridge lying over southern parts of the state. It was hot and stormy across our far north today, 42 degrees in Wyndham, warm in Fitzroy Crossing too. Clearing up in the Pilbara though, getting to 35 in Exmouth, slightly warmer in Newman. Sunshine into the central west, 29 the top in Geraldton, warmer in Morawa, reaching 34, and taking a look in the goldfields today, also 34 in Leonora, similar conditions in Laverton. A mostly sunny day across our southwest, 28 the top in Bunbury, cooler in Mandurah, and much the same along the coast, 25 degrees in both Ravensthorpe and Esperance. Taking a look at the rain map now, 52 mils was the most in the gauge to 9 a.m. That was falling at Ayr, 33 mils in Warman, and dropping right off from there, 5 mils falling in Forest and just 4 mils recorded at the Duke today. On our weather wall tonight, hello to Alicia and Junior from Warrakurna campus, and a big hello to the Year 3 and 4 class at Panawanika Primary School. Thank you very much for your work, everyone. Well done. And I'll be back with the rest of the forecast a little later on, coming up after sport.
OK, thanks, Amanda. And ahead tonight in 7 News, artificial intelligence set to help West Australian teachers. Then auctioning off some Southwest cherries for a very good cause.
I know you can win. You know you can win. There is nothing stopping you. It's fast.
Yes.
It's free.
Yes.
It's easy to play.
Free cricket tipping, big prizes. Get a taste of victory this summer at thegame.com.au.
Police are warning visitors to stay off the rocks along the Esperance coastline after 3 deaths in the past 12 months. They say people have been ignoring the warning signs. A number have been washed into the ocean while standing on or fishing from rocks. Esperance residents have been warning visitors to be careful, but they're also being ignored. Police say conditions are so rough, even the best swimmers struggle to survive. Artificial intelligence is at the heart of a suite of changes to make life easier for West Australian teachers. Testing has begun to see how it can streamline things like marking and planning, so teachers can spend more time with their students. Rory Campbell has more.
Teachers are already using artificial intelligence to make their work and their lives easier, but the state government has announced testing of how it can be used to cut red tape is about to be conducted. The Education Department will work with curriculum authorities to find out how it can help things like excursion planning, meeting preparation and general communication.
We're not talking about instructions in front of the classroom. There'll always be a need for a teacher. You still need that human factor, that empathy, that emotional intelligence, and you need teachers to be in front of the classroom.
Artificial intelligence is one way the state government's looking to ease the load on teachers. Other ways include restricting when teachers can be contacted to improve their work-life balance.
I do not expect nor want school staff to return calls and emails in the evenings or on the weekends.
In the news at 6, what else is being done to help maximise the output of our teachers so our kids can get the best education possible? A Southwest cherry farm is helping change little lives right across Western Australia. The annual auction helps raise vital funds for the Perth Children's Hospital Foundation. And bidders are prepared to fork out big bucks for a good cause. Last year raised nearly $50,000.
For many of us, it's a summer favourite, but for the Casato family, cherries are in their blood.
I can't see myself doing anything else, and I really enjoy it. I love it, so it's something different.
Josh lost his father Michael in an accident out in the orchard, but his legacy lives on with this 5-kilo box of cherries. For the last 10 years, the family has auctioned off a box, with the proceeds going straight to the Perth Children's Hospital Foundation.
It's amazing what it goes to, and I mean, you're getting the best, so you got to pay.
This is what it's all about, and bidders are willing to pay for it. 4 years ago, a similar box of cherries sold for $110,000. A different box is made every year by members of the local men's shed. Each cherry inside is individually checked.
You feel good in yourself for doing it, but yeah, I'm just continuing on what Dad did. There's nothing more heartbreaking than when you see them the way they are, and it's obviously a lot of cost, a lot of expense to maintain treatments and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an honour, really.
The money raised helps support the Rare Care Centre, and for parents of children living with a rare disease, the funds are important.
We need to be able to save our children's lives. Your money helps that to happen and attracts attention to rare diseases.
This year's auction will take place at Perth's Canning Vale Markets, bright and early on Friday, December 8. Amanda Sabatino, 7 News.
Sport is next. Tonight, a good day at the office for our Sheffield Shield cricketers. But the Scorchers' dreams of a WBBL final come crashing down. Perth's hope of winning the WBBL have come to an end. At the Wacker last night, they fell 67 runs short of the Brisbane Heat. Scorchers have been given a history-making run chase that was never in reach.
For the second time this season, the Scorchers were torched by Grace Harris. She ended up with 54 runs of 34 balls, a score that helped take her team to the finals.
She tidied up well, though, and closed out this over, only going for 6 runs.
The Scorchers fell 67 runs short of their target. Bunbury's Chloe Paparo managed 6 runs from her 6 bowls before being caught out by Charlie Knott.
And she's tried to go over the infield here, and they've just reeled back.
Scorchers spinner Alana King says next year they'll just have to fight harder.
We've got to celebrate the good stuff. It's not all doom and gloom for us. And, yep, although it would be nice to be the cherry on top to be there on Saturday, I think there's lots of positives that we can take out of it.
The loss ends Perth's hope of winning the WBBL trophy. The final will be this Saturday at Adelaide Oval, a game you'll be able to see here live on 7. Maya Grieve, 7 News.
Day 3 of the Sheffield Shield match, WA taking on Queensland, has seen WA take the lead. Our cricketers ended the day on 330 runs off 95 overs. Cameron Green launched a massive 6 into the second tier of the Gabba before he was out with 96 runs. Tomorrow, Queensland will continue to bat, chasing WA's 56-run lead. Athletes from around the world are preparing for this weekend's GWM Ironman in Busselton. Athletes will line up on Sunday morning at Geograph Bay. They'll then go through a 3-kilometre swim, 42-kilometre run and 180-kilometre bike ride. This year's starting lineup is the biggest field the competition has ever seen. In the men's field, 24 professionals will represent 7 different countries, trying to cross the Ironman finish line in first place. The Wildcats will host defending champion Sydney at RAC Arena tomorrow night. They'll be chasing their 6th win in a row, but coach John Riley doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself.
All we can do tomorrow night is go out and compete and play against Sydney, and let's see who's the better team on the night. Corey
Webster remains sidelined for tomorrow's clash with an ankle injury. Amanda Sabatino's back next with weather details for the start of summer. Then in 7 News at 6 with Rick and Sue, tough questions. Brittany Higgins comes under tense cross-examination.
Welcome back. Tomorrow we can expect showers and thunderstorms over the North Kimberley, mainly during the afternoon and the evening, remaining very hot over the inland central west. Those seasonal storms will continue into the start of the weekend. We could even see some dry thunderstorms over the southeast Pilbara and interior as temperatures continue to climb over the southwest land division. Much the same on Sunday, with the chance of a light shower near the south coast between Augusta and Denmark, and into next week those showers will continue across our far north Kimberley, and further south we could see a sprinkle between Margaret River and Albany. Hot and stormy across our far north tomorrow, 42 degrees in Wyndham. We'll see sunshine in Derby, becoming windy in Karratha though, 33, and similar conditions in Onslow, a warm day in Newman. Warming up across parts of the central west as well, 40 degrees in the Junction tomorrow, much the same in Murchison. Those clear skies extending into Geraldton and heating up in Morawa, 39. Mostly sunny further south, 32 the top in Bustleton, cooler in Augusta. Becoming windy though in Albany, mostly sunny, and 32 in Katanning, and sunshine further inland as well, 34 degrees in both Narrogin and Corrigin. Partly cloudy along the coast, 29 in Ravensthorpe, a touch cooler in Esperance, 13 tonight, and we'll see temperatures in the mid to low 30s across the Goldfields tomorrow. On local waters, swells to 1 metre between the Kimberley and Pilbara coast, westerly winds up to 25 knots, swells to 2 metres on the Gascoyne coast. Swells also to 2 metres on both the Geraldton and Lancelin coasts tomorrow, seas at around 1.5 metres on the Bunbury coast. Now there's a strong wind warning in place for the Esperance coast tomorrow, swells to around 1.5 metres with easterly winds to around 25 knots. Taking a look at temperatures around the rest of the country tomorrow, 34 and thunderstorms in Darwin. We'll see similar conditions in Brisbane, 19 the top in Melbourne, and a glorious day back home in the west, sunshine and 33 degrees in Perth tomorrow. That's all from me. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Thanks, Amanda. That's local news for today. We'll be back tomorrow night live at 5:30 right across the state. 7 News from Perth is next with Susanna Carr and Rick Garden. From us, good night, Western Australia.